youtube.com/simracecheck.
So this is a demonstration video of how to do a general setup, and I will attempt to make this a procedure that you can follow with any car in the GTR24h package. So first of all, I want to get some data straight before I start setting up the car, and the data I want to get is inside the engine file, and the way I get this data is by downloading the Simutils Race Manager software. When I have this and have it installed, I click on the engine tab, and then I open up a browsing window here, and then I go to my install here. I have a clean GTR2 install with the 2013 package, so I go to game data, teams. This is obviously a GTE car, so I go to GTE cars, and I find the Aston Martin Vantage teams, and I find the engine file. This is the Vantage 2012 engine. So I open this, and now I have a nice graph here, and I also have the information that I need. This engine needs to reach 8,000 RPM to make the maximum horsepower of 467 brake horsepower, and it has 497 Newton meters at 6,000 RPM. So I need to keep the car somewhere between 6,000 RPM and 8,000 RPM. And what I have to look for also is the engine lifetime RPM. This is the point where the engine will start to wear down quicker. So on average, if I don't go above 6,750, the engine will last for 26 hours. If I go above that, it will decrease the lifetime of the engine. So what I want to look at is how much more than the engine lifetime RPM should I do. But I always want to be able to rev the engine higher than the max power rev band. So what I want to do here is set the car to just around 8,100 on the limiter. This is the information I need, and then I need to take note of this. So it's a pretty torquey engine from 6,000 RPM onwards, and maximum horsepower at 8,000. Alright, now let's go into GTR2 and start setting up the car. So here we are in GTR2 on the track, ready to set up the car. And what I want to do now is go straight into the garage, and I want to find the power tab up here, and I want to set the power band to 8,100. So, and now I know the car is going to be traveling up to 300 kilometers per hour, so I want to set the 6th gear so I'm absolutely sure that the car can make that speed. That'll be about here. I also want to move my 2nd gear here, because from what I know about this track, cars need to be going around 150 in 1st gear. So I want to move the 1st gear up to just about 150, and then I want to space evenly out the gears between these two settings. So I want to approach even gears here. So all this, and maybe make the jump from 1st to 2nd a little longer than the rest, because that's where we can use the torque of the engine to maximize acceleration. So this looks pretty good. This is a good setup to start with, and most people will want to start doing their setups in the beginning with a full tank of fuel. So I want to see what a full tank of fuel is, and then I want to go down a third of that, so that I don't make a setup that only runs straight with a full tank of fuel. So I want to go down to about 60 liters here. I then want to look at my power and coast settings here, because I want a stable car under braking. Coast can almost never be too high when you start to do a setup, so I want to go 70, 75 on the coast, and I want to go 50 on the power, because then I can go both ways, up and down. And then I want to make a car that's stable on curves. So in the small bumps, I want to be sure that the car's understeering. The way I do this is using the fast rebound setting. So I want to make the fast rebound in the front to make the tires not want to come down to the track again when you hit bumps. I want to set that high. So I go to 20 on the fast rebound in front, and then I lower the slow bump and fast bump, and I want to make sure that the car is stiffer on rebounds in the front than in the rear, and I want to start by running a soft setup on the springs. So I want to go even on the springs here, because the car is actually heavier in the rear than the front, even though it's a front engine car. So I want to go 200 Newton meters in front and 200 Newton meters in the back. And I of course want to go very low on the fast rebound. And the way dampers work is that you take the slow rebound and then add on top the fast rebound. So even though I got 9 here in slow rebound and 20 in fast rebound, my settings in the rears, I have 11 on the slow rebound and 2 on the fast rebound. Actually, this is higher than this. So I want to go down to maybe 3 on the slow rebound in the back, and I want to go down to 1 on the fast rebound. And then I want to set up the car now. I have a reasonably soft car. I want to set it up as low as it will go. At the moment that's 6.5 in the front, and I know that GT cars needs 0.5 centimeter of rake, and I want to make sure that it has that rake, so I want to make 1.5 centimeters difference here. So I want to go 7.5, 8 in the back. This should actually make for a pretty good standard setup. I think the camber is a little bit high because this track doesn't have a lot of corners, and the corners are very fast, so the car is pushed very hard into the ground during the corners. So I want to go with a 2-degree camber in the front and something like 1.2 in the back. I then want to make notice of what my tire temperatures are when I take the first lap here. And the way I do this is also using the Simitils Race Manager. In the brakes tab I can see what the average temperatures on my brakes are for each lap, and I want to check that out and make sure that it rises, has an average that's somewhere between 350 degrees and 400 degrees Celsius. I then want to check out to see what tires I'm driving, and it looks like I'm on soft tires. I want to go something medium at the moment. And this is the Le Mans track, so of course we're going to go splitter angle 1, and then I want to start up with a rear spoiler of 2 and see how the car handles. I also I use something like 400 degrees of rotation on my wheels, so I don't want to go 15 degrees on my steering lock. I want to have 19. So right now this setup is about done, and I'm ready to go on track, so let's do that. Need to adjust my seat position here so I can see, and we are ready to go. See you after the first test lap. So what I found out from the first test drive is that the brakes are not hot enough, and the brake balance is actually slightly off. So I want to halve the brake ducts here, and I want to go to 60-40 brake balance, and to improve stability during braking I want to go even higher on the coast, so I'm going up to 90%. So let's go for another test drive. So I'm actually well on the way on my first test lap, and what I'm looking for at the moment is tire temperatures. I want to see the temperatures both front and back rise up to the optimal 90 or just above 90 degrees. And what we're seeing right now is that my rear tires are actually a little bit cold, so are my fronts. Let's see when we get into the testing level for doing that a little better. Then I want to use the onboard display here to keep checking out the brake temperatures as I'm looking at right now. And I want to see them climb to at least 350 degrees when I'm done braking and coming out of the corners. So right now they're just about there. And switch back and look at the tire temperatures to see where we're at. It's actually a bit cold, so we could have gone for a softer compound here. Oops. And that's what I was fighting with the brake balance, but it doesn't actually look like it's enough. So we'll turn around the car here, look in the rear mirror to check if someone's coming, and not, and let's brake balance even further forward. Let's go to 62 front, so that we can actually use the brakes into the corner and not just brake before the corner turn in. I want to be able to trail brake the car just slightly a little bit. I certainly did put the heat into the tires, and we're now at 80 degrees. What we're going to see here is that when we get above 250, the speed of the car will actually make the tire temperature start to rise. So it's going to start to come up now. 83 left, right. It's actually running pretty high, it seems there, and braking point. First gear, muscling the car through there. That was a little late braking there. Sorry, I haven't been driving many GT cars on this track. I'm actually hampered right at the moment because I locked recording software at 30 frames per second. So this is actually not a very smooth gaming experience at the moment. So I'll do the best I can. And for the second chicane here. Second gear, keep it above the 6,000 RPM if possible. Use all that torque to pull itself out of the corner here. Simulator software says I'm using about 100% engine lifetime at the moment, so that's actually perfect. So my shifting point is actually pretty good. The car's good on bumps, easy to take control of the car. So at the moment it actually seems like it's only braking that's a problem. Braking, turning in. Perhaps I need to brake a little bit before the turn the car in and slam on the brakes and then go down to first gear for Indianapolis here. Double get downshift there. My wheel is acting up. Gear shifts up. So I need a new wheel. Inside the 430 qualifying limit, so it's actually pretty okay. Just gonna take the curve section to get some readings, better readings of the tire temperatures. Half down the straight here. Push this garage, and we're going to check out the tire temperatures. So front left needs a little bit more pressure. Front right is okay, so we're going to stop the symmetrical setup here, and we're going to add 5 kPa to the left front. Look at the rears. This one's left rear is too much, so we're going to go 5 kPa down here, and same as the rear, so we're going to go 5 down here too. Now I moved the brake bias 2 clicks forward inside the game, so I have to do this on the brake bias here too. So actually this is now a pretty good setup. It's actually good enough for most practicing purposes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna save this setup as the RTB Advantage. There you go. That's your first little walkthrough or tutorial here on how to do setups in the GT cars and how to make an initial stable setup for a GT car. Have fun with it. Bye.
YouTube.com/simracecheck